Hi everyone, New England Gardening here. I finally came to a solution or a decision on stiffening up the base here and how I could then go about attaching it to the sill plate and these bolts that I have embedded in the foundation. So I had these 2x6s. I had to rip them down to, might have been, well, I could have used just 2x4s that I had, but I had pressure treated, and I think you might have like a chemical reaction between pressure treated and this aluminum. You'd have to make sure to paint it. But I had these 2x6s, so I cut them down to a width of 3 7/8. And the reason is because I think the geometry, you just can't slide it in. I'll show you what I'm talking about in a second. You have to angle it in, so it makes the line a little bit longer, I think. Let me reach for this board here that I was doing a test run on. But this is, just 1.5 inches thick. And you can see here, I have a slot that is a little off center. And the center of the blade against the fence was 1 inch. So what this does is the bottom lip fits nice and snug into that slot, and the wider portion here is inside this sort of C-shaped base. So it looks like there's a space here. So I don't know, could have maybe, it measured 1 inch. So a lot of these boards, they're warped. So I didn't have a feather board, so it was hard to keep it against the fence as I was cutting, but that's good enough. And I'll have a carriage bolt going through here, through the wood, and I can have an L-shaped bracket, and then in other cases where I have the bolt, I can have the L-shaped bracket go through the side here with the carriage bolt, and then also kill two birds with one stone here, as they say, with a nut to hold the L-shaped bracket to the base, to the sill plate. So another thing that worked out is I had these, and then I had a couple of pieces of wood. It's amazing how some of this stuff looks, like it's ready to be thrown out. You cut it and it's just nice, perfectly good wood. So I had a couple of, I think they're like 8x6 that I had cut for raised beds, and I had them in here for a while without any soil in them, so they're pretty much brand new. So I just cut them to the 3 7/8 and then cut the slot in. So you can see here, this one, is fit snugly. This one here must have drifted a little as I was going through the table saw. But here's, again, the blade is 1 inch. This here is 3 7/8, and you really have to, there's a little bit of a gap here. I was thinking of doing something more elaborate where I would use a router and route it out, so I had a nice little, route out this material and the top material and that, but you just get really elaborate, then you have to accommodate for these brackets and the bolts, and figure out something, because really now the weakest link is this little bracket here that attaches all these side posts. But you could go on forever trying to improve this and strengthen it, and you end up with a completely different greenhouse. So I was just concerned about stiffening up this base here and securing it to the sill plate and utilizing the bolts that I had put in. So I've got one more here I need to put in. Surprisingly, I was wondering how long a section you could make before it become too difficult to really slide this into the slot, but really you start one end and it comes in pretty easily. So this is the last board right here. That's it. That one came nice and easy. So this little bracket here that joins the two pieces is kind of thick. So once these are here, you know, I'll have a nut here, but yeah, it's okay. You know, once I have the brackets on these longer sections, this isn't going anywhere. And again, you know, the whole greenhouse is its weakest link, so the base isn't going to go anywhere. But then, you know, you'd have to go on to the next step to reinforce, and then the next step, and then the next step, and you'd end up with a whole new generation of greenhouse. So this is pretty secure. And again, once I get these L brackets in, you can see there, that fit nice and snug. And I have plenty of areas where the L bracket, I'll have an L bracket right over the bolt that ties into the foundation. So that's my main concern right there. And once I just went ahead and went with what I wanted to do, it's all finished. So I just need to get to the L brackets. That's it. This here I had, I think they were 10-foot sections, so a little bit of a gap here. I can put a little block in here. I mean, that would just be cosmetic. So this is New England Gardening with my solution for stiffening up the bottom plate here, or the base plate for the Harbor Freight 10x12 greenhouse. Thanks for watching.